can't have that. But if, but again, it's like, what does it even entail, right? It's, well, if the state is legislating something, that means they're basically making something illegal or not illegal. And if you believe the state should legislate morality, you have to believe that means imprisoning people who engage in what's considered immoral and degenerate behavior, which conservatives consider a lot of things immoral and degenerate behavior, by the way. It's always funny how a conservative will criticize like liberals for calling everything bigoted, everything racist, when they call everything sinful and everything degenerate and everything immoral and everything, antichrist and demonic. Right? So that's just kind of, get used to that. Everything's satanic, everything's degenerate, everything's immoral and sinful and blah 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 fucking blah. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious when they say things like that we should use the state to legislate morality and homosexuality is sinful. Well, connect the dots. Connect the dots of what the Jack Posobiec's and the Lauren Chens are calling for. They're calling for rounding up homosexuals, rounding up gay people, and putting them in camps. That's what they're supporting. They want, but perhaps the biggest example is something called third worldism. And I think it's called I don't know. I think it's, maybe it's not. And basically this is kind of, and I shouldn't even say like third worldism, because it's third worldism, but it's also like the based Islam meme. And I mean, the conservative flip-flop on Islam, oh my god, look, Lauren Chen's complete flip-flop on Islam and the Islamic faith and all this like shit is just fucking incredible. Like, it's just, I mean, you can't get a more, like, a bigger flip-flop if you tried. And the whole base third worldism is, it's typically like, traditionalists and like white nationalists and like conservatives and whatever the fuck these freaks call themselves, basically showing an appreciation for the illiberal traditions of the third world, saying based, it's like Uganda gives gay people the death penalty. Based Uganda, right? It's based Uganda. Oh my god, that's so based. I wish we could. It's like showing jealousy. It's like Turkey has borders. Why can't we? It's like, so it's always like the whole. Yeah, I mean, it's just constantly like showing. Like, I'll give an example. So this was like a very recent example. So Owen Benjamin, so the South African government accused Israel of committing genocide and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza. And Owen Benjamin, this like anti-Semitic, like white nationalist loser, comes out just like, South Africa has a lot going for it, And paleo-conservatives and Wigginots didn't like that very much, because it's like, any praise of Africa, any praise of the Middle East, can be kind of a very hot-button issue for a lot of these people, so it's really, really kind of interesting, right? And they're like, yeah, why do you defend this South African regime that's murdering white farmers, to own the Jews, right? And that's kind of an example of like the third. It's it's like it's stuff like that. It's like praising the It's like if like South Africa started like imprisoning journalists or something like that, it's like based South Africa, we hate journalists, and it's like so it's like a dangerous game. That's a very dangerous game. But the flip-flop on Islam. So if you have been there in 2015, and really for a probably much longer time, because I got into this in like 2015 and stuff like that, you would know that the conservative position on Islam has been that the Islamic faith is different from other faiths. That Islam is a uniquely violent faith that has been responsible for like stoning gay people, stoning women, throwing gays off rooftops, and the killing of, infidels and apostates and etc., non-believers. And then Islam was responsible for 9/11, and then Islam is a violent religion. I don't want to like inherently whatever, but you get my point. Islam is just a violent, faith, and then the Islamic faith is incompatible with Western values and Western culture, and we don't want Islam and that kind of thing. And they even demanded as well and scolded liberals for not criticizing the Islamic faith. And they'd say, oh, well, that's because, like, the Sargon of Akkad would say, well, you only criticize Christianity because Christianity is seen as the white religion, whereas Islam is seen as the brown religion. That's brown privilege for you on the left. It's the left protecting minorities, and why do they like Islam and blah blah, multiculturalism doesn't work and all this other stuff. But now, they've done a complete 180. Now they'll sit there and say, as Lauren Chen did, she said maybe Islam has a point. Lauren Southern said that she'd rather send her kid to an Islamic school than a progressive school, basically. And I think Michael Knowles said the same thing. I mean, it's this whole based Islam. And why is it we don't see gay pride parades in Saudi Arabia? And the whole point being is because in Saudi Arabia they have laws against homosexuality, and same thing with like Iran. Why is it we don't see gay pride parades and transgenderism in Muslim majority countries and Islamic countries? And it's because they have Sharia law and Islamic law, and that's kind of the point, right? It's that theocracies are very good things to oppose, to oppose gay rights and that kind of thing. That they're very effective and blah blah. That's the point. And it's just this whole thing. It's like you see this flip flop during the recent. So Qatar recently had hosted the World Cup. They didn't do that well at the tournament. Sorry, Qatar, for getting your hopes up. They did not hoist the World Cup, and I'm not a big soccer fan, but it was a fine event. Blah blah. I think soccer was actually really good. If you never got the chance to watch the Argentina versus France World Cup game, like the Argentina-Netherlands game, there was some really, really good stuff there. I mean, there was incredible stuff. Oh man, I mean, World Cup is incredible. And so Qatar is known for the very horrible treatment of homosexuals and LGBT people. And so, because again, conservatives would demand back in the day, it's like, why isn't it women are ever protesting, protesting the lack of gay pride parades in Saudi Arabia? When will we see a gay pride parade in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Muslim countries? That's what Sargon would say in 2015. But during the Qatar World Cup, liberals and progressives did criticize. It did protest the lack of gay rights in Qatar. And how did Sargon handle that? He said, that's woke cultural liberalism. That's gay neoliberalism. That's gay wokeism. You're pushing gay rights on a sovereign nation. Don't you respect British sovereignty? How dare you? Qatar should be able to. It's like so. Sargon in 2015 sat there and told us, basically, that demanded that we scold and said that you are an Islamophile and you're an Islam apologist and you support, brown privilege and that kind of thing. Because you didn't want to push gay rights in Saudi Arabia. You didn't want to push gay rights in Qatar. What are the liberal protests in Qatar for gay rights? Why is it just only Christian societies that they support gay rights in? To now, it's if you want to push gay pride parades on Saudi Arabia, you're a woke, gay imperialist who's an Islamophobe. Why is it, Democrats are the real racists, right? It's Democrats are the real cultural imperialists who, it's based Islam. We gotta side with the Muslims on this. I mean, that's what Darren Beattie was saying. We gotta side with the Muslims on this. That's because it's the policies that are in Saudi Arabia they want in Western nations. They want anti-homosexuality laws. They want to imprison gay people. They went from saying, like, Islam is throwing gay people off rooftops and is responsible for throwing gay people off rooftops to saying, based Islam and, Islam has the sovereignty to do, Saudi Arabia has the sovereignty to do whatever they want. It's like, if Muslims in the Middle East were throwing Hungarians off rooftops, it's funny because like the same people that complain about pushing gay rights on Saudi Arabia are happy to push Russian ethnic rights and Hungarian rights in Ukraine, as an example. That's why Vladimir Putin, one of the reasons why Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, right? They're discriminating against ethnic Russians and they're discriminating against ethnic Hungarians. So they're fine pushing those rights, right? They're fine pushing, rights on South Africa, right? They're fine, pushing, right? So if it's basically it's fine. It's fine to regime change. It's fine to force force African countries to respect the rights of whites. But it's wrong to do this if you want them to respect the rights of gay people, basically. It's pro-white to stand up against Uganda's anti-white policies and Nigeria and Kenya's anti-white policies, but it's gay woke imperialism if you stand up for gay rights, right? That's kind of what it is, right? It's like the excuse they were giving too is like, well, if you move to a country, if you visit a country, you have to respect the local customs. It's like, okay, well, South Africa, a couple years, like 2010, I think, hosted the World Cup. So if I go there, can I not protest, for white South Africans? Huh? Can I add, criticize the treatment of white South Africans? Sargon?